श्री श्री राधा वृंदावन चंद्र की, श्री श्री जगन्नाथ बलदेव सुभद्रा महारानी की, श्री श्री गौर निताई की, श्रीनिवास वेंकटेश्वर बालाजी की, श्रील प्रभुपाद की, समवेत भक्त वृंद की, निताय गौर प्रेमानंदी। ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपः कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरोः श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगण रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनासहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सहगण ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च नमः। ॐ विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिन्निति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषा शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे। नमो महावदन्याय कृष्ण प्रेम प्रदायते कृष्णाय कृष्ण चैतन्य नाम्ने गौरत्विषे नमः। हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधो दीनबंधो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमोस्तुते। तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। वाञ्छा कल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौरभक्त वृंद। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्ण। Should I speak in English or Hindi, Prabhu? English. Everybody is comfortable in English? Everyone?
Hare Krishna. I request one or two ladies to please take care of the very small children so that they don't play around here and create some disturbance. They can go outside and they can play. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Somebody can tend to the children. Someone, anybody, so the children will be peaceful. They can play as much as they wish in the lawn. They can take them. Yeah. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. ये तुद्वदीय चरणाम्बुज कोशगन्धं जिघ्रन्ति कर्णविवरैः श्रुतिवादनीतं भक्त्या च चरणः परया च तेषां नापैति नाथ हृदयां गुरुहात्स्व पुंसां. Today we are celebrating the welcoming of the Shri Shri Gaur Nitai and Shri Shri Radha Krishna deities for two families, Ash Prabhu and Ruchi Mataji, and Shrisha Mataji and Siddharth Prabhu. They have been practicing Krishna consciousness for several years, attending the weekly programs and chanting 16 rounds and following the four related principles. And now at this particular point, they have developed a great enthusiasm and eagerness to welcome the Lord in their home. Actually, Lord only comes to someone's home where they very eagerly welcome the Lord to serve Him. Just like a couple of months ago, my sister who is living in Coimbatore, she has been chanting 16 rounds the last 3 years or so, 3-4 years. Now, she developed a very strong desire to get Gaur Nitai deities in her home. So there is His Holiness Bhaktivinoda Maharaj in Coimbatore. So he welcomed the deities and now she is worshipping in the morning. Her son does the dressing of the deities. And she has a small daughter also. The daughter fans the deities every day. The Arati is going on. And she worships with great devotion and offering different bhoga. And all the congregations that came together and offered varieties of bhoga. So, why do we bring deities to our home? What is the importance of it? We'll try to discuss in a few words today. You see, in India, many people have a very impersonal understanding of God. Many people have very little understanding of who the Supreme God is. So when I had a similar question in my life, I heard this Venkatesa Suprabhatam, after hearing which a sudden realization came in my mind about which I clarified. In those series of verses it says, Kamala chuka chuka kumkumato niyatarunita nilatano Kamalaya talochana lokapate vijayi bhava venkata shailapate Sachatur mukha shanmukha panchamukha pramukha kila daivata maulimane Sharanagata vatsala saranidhe paripalaya mam vrisha shailapate. So these sentences say that Chaturmukh Brahma, Panchamukh Shiva, Shanmukh Skanda Kartikeya and many other devatas, they all assemble in Tirupati Balaji's temple and they all are offering obeisances at the Lord's feet. And whenever there is a disturbance in the world around us, they immediately go to the lotus feet of Vishnu. You might have seen the picture of Ranganath lying in the Ananta Shesha and all the devatas standing with folded palms. And this is not something which you hear rarely, but this is something you hear very frequently. Yam Brahma Varunendra Rudra Marutastunmanti Divyaistavai Vedai Sangha Padakramopanishadair Gayanti Yam Samagaha Dhyana Vastita Tadgatena Manasa Pashyanti Yam Yogino Yasyantam Navidusura Suragana Devaya Tasmai Namo. This verse says Yam Brahma, Varuna, Indra, Rudra, Maruta Stunvanti Divyaistavai. With sweet poetry, they are all glorifying one Supreme Lord. And not only that, he says Vedai, Sangha, Padakrama, Upanishadai, the Vedas, the Upanishads, Puranas, they are also glorifying the Supreme Lord. And the yogis are not closing their eyes and meditating on nothing, but they are meditating on Dhyana Vastita Tadgatena Manasa Pashyanti Yam Yogino. They are meditating on a Paramatma in their hearts. And then he says, Yasyam Navidu Sura Suragana. Even great devatas sometimes fail to understand that Supreme Lord. Devaya Tasmai Namo. To such a Supreme Lord, Vasudeva, I offer my namaskar, he says. You will see, when at the door of Vaikuntha, there was an altercation, quarrel. because Jaya Vijay wanted to enter Vaikuntha. But, not Jaya Vijay, Chatush Kumaras, 4 Kumaras. And Jaya Vijay stopped them. At that time, the Kumaras became very angry. This pastime is well known in India, that people know that 4 Kumaras went to Vaikuntha doors and they were not allowed entry by Jaya Vijay. The watchman stopped. Who were the watchmen? The same watchman who was standing in the Balaji temple in the entrance. Jaya Vijay. They stopped. So, when they stopped, they became angry. So, how many of you know, till they came to the entrance of Vaikuntha, whom were they worshipping, these 4 Kumaras? Anybody knows? What was their object of worship till they came to the entrance of Vaikuntha? Anybody knows? Anybody? Yes, ma'am. They were impersonalists, exactly. They were impersonalists. They were worshipping the Omkar, Nirakar Brahma. But when they came to the entrance of Vaikuntha, they suddenly developed a desire to see Lord Vishnu. But they were stopped by Jaya Vijay. So, Lord Vishnu saw that there is some sound coming at the entrance of Vaikuntha. So, Lord Vishnu arrived at the door. At that time, Vishnu came with Lakshmi also. And there was an umbrella above his head. And he was also accompanied by his servants. Other servants like Nanda, Sananda and others and all. So at that time, Lord Vishnu looked at the Kumaras and he smiled upon them. So the Kumaras thought that Lord Vishnu is happy with us. Although we became angry, Lord Vishnu didn't misunderstand us. So he's happy with us. And then Lord Vishnu turned to Kumaras, Jaya Vijay, and smiled upon them also. Then Jaya Vijay was very surprised. The Lord is smiling at us and he is smiling at the Kumaras. He is angry with whom? He seems to be happy with both of us. So Srila Prabhupada writes that the Lord was happy with both the offenders and the offended, he says. Lord was angry with neither of them because he knew the purpose of his servants, Jaya Vijay. They are my very dear servants. I have only posted them at the entrance to not let anyone in, especially one who is an impersonalist. So they did the job. So Lord was happy with them. And the Lord was smiling at Kumaras also in order to pacify their anger. Because Lord felt the entrance of Vaikuntha requires my lotus feet, because where my lotus feet is there will be ocean of bliss, ocean of happiness. So, as soon as Lord came, everything was set right. At that time, one miraculous thing happened. From Lord Vishnu's lotus feet, there was a tulasi. In our temples also you will see, we keep a tulasi with chandan at the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord. So from that tulasi, a makaranda was taken by the wind and it entered into the nostrils of the Kumara. Alkamishra tulasi antargata arate apichittatanvoho. In the Bhagavad, it's coming continuously. Okay. In the Srimad Bhagavatam it is said, Tasyara Vinda Nayanasya Padara Vinda. That Supreme Lord who has eyes like lotus petals, who has feet like lotus, from his lotus feet, the Tulasi carried the Makaranda into the nose of the Kumaras. At that time, Kumaras, their fixity on Omkar became disturbed. They no more remained impersonless. Rather, they became personless. They became pure devotees of Lord Vishnu. After that, they continuously remained bhaktas only. In this way, the Shastras give evidences of an impersonalist becoming a personalist. Similarly, Shukadeva Goswami, when he was born to Veda Vyas, as soon as he was born, you know how old he was? Anybody knows? He was 16-year-old. Why? Because 16 years he never came out of the mother's womb thinking that, the world is full of Maya, so I won't come. So he was in mother's womb. He was given assurance. Come out, there is no worry. You are already a very great soul, come out. Then when he came out, straight away he went to the forest. His father was walking behind Veda Vyas, calling, Yam prajantam anupetam upeta krityam dvaipayano viraha katura ajuhava putreti tanmayataya taravo vinedus Aham sarva bhuta hridayam munimanatos. He's calling putra, putra, putra. Then all the trees are also calling putra, putra. They're echoing. But the putra never waited. He went into the jungle. But then after going into jungle, there he saw two woodcutters were cutting some tree branch, and they were singing some Sanskrit poetry, which was heard by Shukadeva Goswami. One very famous poem they were singing, Ahobakiyam verse, where they were talking about how merciful is Lord Krishna. Is there anyone in this world who can love his enemy? If somebody comes to kill you, will you want to protect them? You will want to defend yourself. But Krishna saw that this Putana is coming to kill me with poison in her breast. But he gave her the position of mother in the spiritual world, nurse in the spiritual world. So when Shukadeva Goswami heard about this Krishna's compassion, he fainted. Then he wanted to know from them, who is this Krishna? Please tell me, who is that compassionate Lord? Then they sang another poetry. Barga Bidam Natavara Bapu Karnayo Karnikaram Vibradvasa Kanaka Kapisham Vaijayantim Jamalam Randran Venu Radara Sudaya Purayan Gopa Vrindaihi Vrindaranyam Swapadaramanam Pravishad Gita Kirtihi. They said, they were singing, this Lord Krishna is very special because even in Vaikuntha the Lord wears slippers. But in Vrindavan, Krishna doesn't wear any slipper. So he makes the ground of Vrindavan more and more auspicious by walking along with his covered boyfriends and cows and calves, wearing a peacock feather in his head and playing on his flute, wearing a pitambar. So in this way, when he heard the description, he was fascinated by the attractive future of Krishna. So Krishna has two things by which he brings us back to his abode. One is his attraction, another one is compassion. We all have to become attracted to God for one out of these two things at least. Then only we can go back to him. Either we are charmed by his compassionate nature. He is Dina Bandhu. And also he is extremely attractive. The word Krish means to attract. Na means to give you bliss. So he attracts you to himself and bestows bliss upon you. That is the meaning of Krishna. And Maya means that which is not. So Maya is also attractive, Krishna is also attractive. But there is one big difference between the two. Krishna attracts you and gives you ananda. Maya attracts you and gives you a punch on the nose. She gives you suffering. So this world has attractive Maya, but when we go beyond this world, there is Vaikuntha, where there is everlasting happiness. So when Shukadeva Goswami heard it, he told them, tell me immediately who taught you all this wonderful information about the personality Krishna. My heart is developing a greed to see him. Tell me more. They said, we are disciples of your father only, Vedavyas. So he immediately left the jungle and went back home to meet his father, accepted him as his guru, and he learned from his father about Krishna. So here, and this Shukadeva Goswami, it is said, he was a great Brahmagyani. He was such a realized Jnani that when he ran away from home to the jungle, there were some women taking bath in the pond. And those women looked at him and immediately they ascertained that this personality is completely free from lust. They saw him like a small child. Imagine if there is a 2-month or 3-month old baby, how will you see him? They saw him like that. He was completely pure. So when Vedavyas followed behind, he asked these ladies, how is it that when my son was passing ahead of you, you never showed any symptoms of shyness? But when I am passing, I am fit enough to be a great grandfather. But you feel shy, you are covering your body with clothes. So they said, my dear sir, your son knows not the difference between male and female. He is completely pure. He is a Brahmagyani. So such a Brahmagyani who had a fixity in impersonal Brahman, he fell in love with Krishna. That is why even Parikshit Maharaj was surprised about Shukadeva Goswami, how he turned into a devotee. So that Shukadeva Goswami says, Atma Ramascha Munayo Nirgranta Apyurukrame Kurvanta Hetukim Bhaktim Ittam Bhuta Guno Hari. He is telling, see, Atma Ramas are like Jnanis, self-realized souls, Brahma Jnanis. But even they become fascinated by Krishna's qualities, which are very enchanting, which are very charming. See, in this world, nobody can attract a Brahmajnani. Because the Brahmajnanis are fed up with the material world. They are frustrated with attraction for opposite sex. They are fed up with the attractions of money, attractions of facilities. They are completely detached from all these things. But such jnanis also become attracted by Krishna's beauty, Krishna's qualities, Krishna's activities. So like that in the Bhagavatam, Shukadeva Goswami says that. So here comes the most important first point which we wanted to share with you. That the personal understanding of God is by far superior to the impersonal understanding of God. Because many great impersonalists who are worshipped by the other impersonalists, they turned into devotees of Lord. They became pure devotees of Krishna subsequently. So, the ultimate understanding of God is personal. Because God is personal, active and reciprocative. You will see that Bhakti, the path of many people think when you go to religion, you have to give up. You don't have to give up, you have to gear up. Gear up for what? Gear up for spiritual activities. Actually, many people fear coming close to God, thinking that we have to give up many things. Our Radha Gopinath Prabhu often used to say, "Kuch chodna nahi hai, lekin jodna hai." He used to say that. What is the meaning of jodna hai? You see, generally when you talk of a grihastha, see grihastha ashrama, when you say ashrama means shelter. Shelter of what? Shelter of Krishna's lotus feet. That is the meaning of ashram. So when a man and woman come together, naturally there are children. So generally in this world people think a man, woman, children, house, bungalow, car, and job, a business, all these things are entangling, people think. But it is not true. All these things can be very liberating if a husband and wife come together with great desire to keep the Lord in the center of the house. Then such a house actually remains no more a jail. In the Bhagavatam it is said, sometimes very rich people you see this smoke which is producing a little trouble is exactly opposite to the pollution that comes out of the vehicles. What the smoke comes out of the vehicles, the carbon monoxide, that reduces the IU of your body. Whereas this smoke, which is coming now from the Yajna Kunda, the Yajna Kunda is actually Lord Vishnu. And the fire of Yajna Kunda is tongue of Vishnu, in which all the ahutis are offered. So the smoke that comes from this is so auspicious that recently when I had gone to Naimisharanya, there is a place where the yajna was performed there. Naimishe Nimisha Kshetre, it is said. Those rishis, while they were offering ahuti in the yajna kund, smoke was coming, but they never blinked the eyes at all. They never blinked the eyes. They continuously were watching at the fire, it is said. That's why it's a Naimishe Nimisha Kshetre. They didn't do this kind of nimit, they didn't do that. So it's very auspicious. Although it may cause you a little trouble, you can understand you are becoming purified by this. So, coming back to the point of a home becomes auspicious when the members of the family understand that we belong to Krishna and we are meant for Krishna service. These two things when they understand, then the home is no more a place of entanglement. Sometimes you see rich people live in posh bungalows or a villa in Kadakwasla, but then they have put a big gate with a board, beware of dogs. So no sadhu can enter there in their house. They drive them away at the door itself. And such a home becomes a jail. It is no lesser than Eravada jail. Because living inside the house with no knowledge of God, with no knowledge of ultimate goal of life, they simply fill the bodily necessities of life, which even animals and birds do. And such people actually, at the end of their life, they don't know where are they going. Like Srila Prabhupada said in London, there was some family, they had 80 rooms in their house, but the husband and wife were 80 plus. So they were sleeping in only one room, in 2 beds, and they could never go to the other rooms also. They could not walk also. So I don't know what they did with 79 rooms, I don't know. So, in this way, most people work hard in this world for the bodily necessities. Prabhupada used to say, a bird never earned a degree, but still he gets his daily food. An elephant is eating tons of grass. He never earned an engineering degree or a doctorate degree or anything. He gets his daily food. We don't eat tons, we only eat little. So the birds and bees, they don't earn a degree to earn the livelihood, but they get whatever is needed. But one amazing thing you will find, that in our Vada farm, the cows keep eating all day. So I asked a question to one sannyasi, why the cows are eating all day while we only eat only 3 times a day? He said, the balance time is meant for Krishna consciousness, he said. Because you have a human body. Human body is meant for Krishna consciousness. Whereas animals are all the time absorbed in bodily necessities. So human life is meant for purification of existence, whereas animal life is meant for filling up bodily necessities, you see. So if husband and wife, they come together and they advance in spiritual life to a point where they can bring the deities to the home and worship. Now what happens by bringing the deities? Prabhupada explains 3 purposes of having deities at home. Firstly, he says, the deities will preach to people around. How? For example, Prabhupada says when he was a small child, Abhay, in the early morning he would hear the ringing of the bell, Radha Govind. Deities were there in Prabhupada's house. His father's name was Gaur Monde, who would wake up in the morning and ring the bell and worship the deities, and small boy Abhay would get up. From the bed only he would be watching the Arati. And he said, by looking at my father, I developed a desire to also worship the deities eventually, when he grew up. So he grew up in a very devotional environment. So the deities are preaching to the children in the family. And the neighbors hear the ringing of the bell and they come and join. When they hear the kirtans, then they want to come. So in this way, the deities powerfully preach and gradually attract more and more neighbors to become devotees. So the husband and wife who are bringing the deity at home, if they keep the home spiritually vibrant by bathing the deities, by decorating the deities, by garlanding the deities and offering bhoga to the deities, and also singing for their pleasure, organizing programs for their pleasure, going out and preaching and bringing people for their pleasure and to worship them more and more. The more they do all these things, they will definitely see the preaching expanding. So one purpose is preaching. Another purpose is personal purification. The Shastras say the deity form of the Lord is a spiritual form visible to our material eyes. Now you may ask, how is it spiritual form? It is made up of brass, it's made up of stone, it's made up of wood, it's made up of some material element. How do you call it spiritual? You see, you take a paper and Reserve Bank of India prints a currency note out of that paper. And the same government of India may print some newspapers also. So you throw the newspapers to the Raddiwala, whereas you take the currency note and keep it in your pocket. Although both of them are papers, isn't it? So one paper is authorized by the government and another paper is, simply a newspaper to be read and thrown away. Similarly, the Shastras say, the Lord tells Uddhava in the 11th canto, my dear Uddhava, my devotees should make a deity form of me by taking one of the 8 material elements. And they should carve the form of me exactly the way I look, standing in the 3-fold bending form, playing on the flute. So they have to carve my deity form. And when they welcome me, when they install me, either in the temple or at home, so when they do that, and to the degree devotees worship me with love, I will exhibit my presence to such a devotee. Please all of you repeat this famous verse. Pashyanti te me ruchiranyam basantaha prasanna vatraruna lochanani rupani divyani varapradani sakam vacham sprihaniyam vadanti. So Supreme Lord says in Bhagavatam that he says, Pashyanti te me ruchiranyam basantaha. Many, many people will come to see my beautiful form. When they look at my beautiful form, the impurities, contaminations in their heart will get cleansed. And I come in various forms. I come like Gaur Nitai, who is Krishna Balaram. I come as Radha Krishna. I come as Sitaram Lakshmana Hanuman. I come in various forms according to the desire of my devotees. And when I come like this, Ruchiranyam Basanta, he says, I look very attractive, he says. Not only that, he says, Rupani Divyani Varapradani. I always give benedictions to my devotees. If somebody comes and prays to me, I can give them my mercy. I can throw my merciful glance upon my devotees. And it has been seen in the past, Lord has behaved, the deity has behaved as a person. One time, when Sanatana Goswami was walking in Vraj, in one particular place he saw a group of small boys playing some games. And one of the boys was most enchanting to his sight because he had lotus petal-like eyes and curly locks of hair, and he had a full moon-like face. He became charmed by his beauty. So he went on looking at him. But after some time, the children, after playing, they all went back to their homes. So this boy ran into one of the homes. So Sanatana Goswami went to that home and he saw the boy, ran into the house, into the interiors of the house, and he went and stood up on the altar like this. And then he became frozen. Then he understood this is actually Krishna in the altar who has run out of the home to play with other boys. So immediately he called the owner of the house whose name was Purushottam Chobe, disciple of Advaita Acharya Prabhu. So he called him and said, Sir, take care of your deities. They are running outside the house to play with other boys. And that Purushottam Chobe was a very intimate, he was a Raganuga Bhakta. Even when he would make khichdi for, the deity's name was Madan Gopal. When he would make khichdi for the deities, sometimes you would take the toothpick out and you would stir the khichdi also. So he was a very pure devotee, very intimate devotee, confidential devotee, who was worshipping Madan Gopal very intimately. On that night, Madan Gopal came in the dream of Sanatan and said, Sanatan, I love you very much. I want to be worshipped by you. So go to the home of Purushottam Chobe and take me from there. So when Sanatan was fearful because Purushottam Chobe loved the deities very dearly, how will he give it to me? He said, no, I will come in Purushottam's dream also and tell him to give me to you, the Lord said. So when he went to the home of Purushottam, very reluctantly weeping, he gave the deities to Sanatan. After that, that same deity became Madan Mohan in Vrindavan. Lord was established in the temple, Madan Mohan temple in Vrindavan. And he didn't stop performing pastimes. He performed many pastimes. He even spoke to Sanatan. Sanatan, you are very renounced. You are eating this bhati with hardly any salt. But while offering to me, keep some extra salt for me. The Lord talked to him like this. So later on, not getting salt, the Lord climbed down the hill and he was standing near the bank of Yamuna when one of the businessmen arrived there. His ship was about to drown. So the small boy was asking the businessman, do you have some salt with you? The businessman said, what about the salt? It is very easy for me to provide you, but save my ship if you can. Then he sent that man to Sanatana Goswami. In this way, that is the man, one Kapoor, who built the temple for Madan Mohan. In this way, Lord Krishna, when he appears in this world, when the devotees worship him, to the degree we worship, just like in our temple you see Radha Vrindavan Chandra, many people come and say, this is one of the most beautiful lordships we have seen in the entire world. Many people say. Actually the beauty of the Lord, the sweetness of the Lord, the reciprocation of the Lord, the Leela performance of the Lord, all these things are dependent on the congregation who come together to render him service, to serve him, please him. Actually, to the degree we please the deities, to that degree they manifest their beauty. Actually, many people told me, when Balaji had come to the Kunjabihari temple, on the very early days, the Balaji appeared very stiff. Like that he was. But within just about 1 year of service, after Balaji received, immediately there was a smile. He was smiling. Many devotees noticed this. They said, now the Balaji has become a smiling Balaji. So one fellow came and told me, your Balaji smiles more than Tirupati Balaji also. So, in this way, the Lord, as in the deity form, he may appear to be a stone or he may appear to be a brass for the ordinary people's eyes, those who see him with mundane vision. But those who worship him regularly, they will develop affection for him, attachment for him. Just like a mother who serves the child regularly, you ask any mother, closing her eyes, she can remember the form of the child. It's very easy for any mother. How many of you mothers can remember your child by closing your eyes? Very easy. Why? Because they regularly come in touch with the child. They see the child every day, they dress the child every day, they regularly come in touch. Similarly, the deity form, Prabhupada says, if you regularly bathe them, dress them, feed them, serve them, the deity forms they enter into your mind, they appear in your dreams. And when you are about to die, leave your body, immediately they will come in front of you and give you darshan, by which antakale cha mameva smaran muktva kalevaram. That formula will happen, by which you will go back home, back to Godhead. So this is actually purification. See, in this world, man, woman, they become attracted to each other. And when they come very intimately, they develop very strong bond, not attachment for each other. But when both husband and wife come to worship the deities together, by touching the deity, bathing the deity and seeing the deity, gradually the material contamination in the mind will be finished and they will fall in love with the deity. So my spiritual master used to say, between the couple, there should be divine couple, used to say. What is the meaning of that? Ranath Maharaj used to say that if a husband and wife don't gradually develop affection and service towards the deity, they will definitely quarrel. He used to say, why? Because before marriage or at the time of marriage, husband and wife, they look at each other like gulab jamun, he was once telling. But after marriage, after 3-4 years, they look at each other like Karela juice. Completely opposite. Why? Ati parichaya avajnana. So gradually we develop too much familiarity, which breeds contempt. But when they worship the deities, and worshipping the deity means what? We have to study the Shastra, in which we have to see the great kings, how they worship the Lord. See, generally a man considers himself king of the house. If he really considers he is a king, he should follow in the footsteps of Ambarish Maharaj and Swayambhu Manu and all. See, Swayambhu Manu, in the morning, you know how he would get up? There would be Brahmanas and Vaishnavas who would come and sing beautiful ragas, Krishna songs for him. Swayambhu Manu, that's how Swayambhu Manu would get up from his bed with all the Shanai, along with that Vaishnavas singing beautiful songs. In South India also, we used to hear in the early morning, loudspeakers would be put in the temples where they would be putting the song. Vayat Varvirhal Nangal Napavaik Chayum Kiri Chayhal Keli Ropar Kadalur. This is from Tirupavai. So we would hear in the morning, and the meaning is very crystal clear. First you hear the sound, you become fascinated by the raga. Then you keep hearing it, you contemplate on the meaning. Then you continue hearing it, you understand the meaning. Then you understand about whom are they speaking. Arimalai Kanna means, Krishna who is looking like the fresh monsoon cloud. So you remember the person, you think of him. And then you think of his qualities. Then you think of his activities. In this way Krishna enters into the mind and heart of the devotee. So initially when you look at the deity in ignorance, sometimes some people bring deity to their home as a fashion to say that we also have a deity. Or some people bring deities to their home due to tradition. They say that traditionally in our home we have religious activities, piety. But in ISKCON, those who are bringing the deities to the homes, they are hearing philosophy also. They know the difference between body and soul. They know the difference between soul and God. With all this understanding, and they know who Krishna is, they have heard pastimes of Krishna, activities of Krishna, qualities of Krishna, just like Shukadeva Goswami heard. And then when they look at the deity, they see him as a very dear person, very dear friend, the supreme enjoyer, the supreme controller. More than being enjoyer, controller and proprietor, the best quality of Krishna is actually a very intimate friend of every jiva. He is the most powerful reciprocator of love. So when we see like that, then we develop a eagerness to dress him, decorate him, feed him. This type of desire we develop. So Swayambhu Manu would rise early in the morning hearing the sweet songs on Krishna. Then he would take a bath and worship the deities. He would go to the temple with his family members, bow down to the deities. Then he would give cows in charity to the Brahmanas. Then he would feed the poor people. He would give the dresses. He would give food to everybody, and then he would go to the palace. There, what was he doing in the palace? He was sitting with all the ministers and finding out ways how the praja can also become devotees. Yata Raja, Tata Praja. So he will make plans, fulfill the basic needs of people, roti, kapda, makan, so that they can focus on Krishna. He would discuss with his ministers for that. Then evening he would come back again to home, he would see his wife and family members all worshipping the deities. He would join. Then the Brahmanas would come again to recite the Shastras. And while going to bed, again they will have music, kirtans. And he would go to sleep hearing that. Because they heard about Krishna in the evening, they had Krishna dreams at night, even if he had any dream also. He didn't get dreams of some ghost or... nowadays children watch so many ghost movies. Ghost movies in the internet. So if you watch ghost movies, ghost will come in the dream. If you watch, if you hear Krishna pastime, then Krishna will come in the dream. One man told Prabhupada, Swamiji, you came in my dream yesterday. Really? What did I tell you? He said, you allowed me to smoke cigarettes and drink liquor. No problem, you said. Prabhupada said, that is not me, that must be a ghost, he said. So in this way, what inputs we give to our mind, what impressions we give to our mind, that is what keeps rising in the mind like waves in our mind. Same with Ambarish Maharaj also. I heard a very interesting pastime about Maharaj Ambarish, which head Pujari of Vrindavan was narrating from the Goswami literature. This is a pastime very important, especially for the Grihastha devotees to know. You all know Ambarish Maharaj was a Grihastha devotee, but who was a superlative Grihastha. Such a way that even sannyasis have to take dust from his feet. He was such an exalted devotee. So you know the famous pastime of Ambarish and Durvasa Muni. But I am going to share with you another pastime. One young lady developed a desire to marry Ambarish Maharaj. Ambarish Maharaj told her, why do you want to marry me? I already have many queens. I don't have time for them. If I marry you, then I won't be able to give you any time. She said, still I want to marry you because you are such a great pure devotee of Krishna. Please marry me. Because she was very much insisting, at last Ambarish Maharaj agreed to marry her. And he had given one palace for each of the queens. So he gave her also one palace. And next day morning when he went to Krishna's temple, where he would regularly go, and you know the famous verse. You will repeat this verse. Savai mana Krishna padaravindayor Vachamsi Vaikunta Gunanu Varnane Karau Harer Mandira Marjanadishu Shrutim Chakara Chutasat Katodaye Mukunda Lingalaya Darshane Drishau Tad Britya Gatra Sparshenga Sangamam Granam Chatatpada Saroja Saurabhe Shrimat Tulasya Rasanam Tadarpite Padau Hare Kshetra Padanu Sarpane Shiro Hrishikesha Padabhivandane Kamam Chadasye Natu Kama Kamyaya Yadottama Shloka Gunashrayaratihi. See, this is a very beautiful prayer which says Ambarish used his eyes to see the beautiful form of the Lord, used his ears to hear Krishna Katha, used his tongue to glorify Krishna, and he only ate prasadam, and used his hand to cleanse the temple, and used his feet to go to the temple every morning. And in this way, at the end it says, Kamam Chadasya Natukam. He didn't become a slave of his desires, rather he became a Jitendriya. He conquered his senses and mind, and he became a real king. And he always delighted in associating with Krishna's devotees, like that it says. So Ambarish used to do this every day in the temple. So that day morning when he went in the temple, he went to the deity room and he found that there used to be, one vessel like this, what do you call it? I don't know, one vessel, kodam we call it, this one silver vessel. And that was full with water already, Yamuna waters. And he called the servant and said, hey, who brought this water? He said, your newly wedded wife. She brought the water. So Ambarish became a little upset. So he used the water that day for serving the deities. But then he called his wife and said, you see, you cannot take away my service. This service which I have been doing for all these years, that is my personal service to the Lord. I want to do direct service to Krishna. So you don't interfere with this. She said, but I am your wife. He said, no, I have many other wives also. He was a king. He had many wives. But I don't let any of them interfere with my service. So you please leave it to me, he said. And she said, okay, do it yourself. But then he was wondering, but she is so keen to do service, what to do? He told her, don't worry, I will arrange Radha Krishna deity for you in your palace where you can worship. I will worship in my temple, you worship in your temple, he said. So he had given her Radha Krishna deity which she started worshipping. After a week or so, Ambarish got a dream. Lord Krishna came in his dream and said, Ambarish, I appreciate your worship, but your wife is worshipping me even better than you. I am more happy with her than you also. And Ambarish was shocked. Which wife are you talking about? He said, your newly wedded wife. She has such devotion. See how she dresses me, how she ornaments me, how she feeds varieties of bhoga for me. See the altar, how she has made it. So beautiful. You go and see. Then Ambarish Maharaj went to her palace to see the way she was worshipping with devotion. He was stunned. In the meantime, all the other queens got the news. And they were all surprised. How is it that the king has gone to that queen's palace and not to our palace? So they became a little envious. They were saying maybe she is newly wedded, that's why he is more interested in her. They were all rumor mongering. And then they got the news that she has got an altar in her palace. And that is why the king is mad. Anyway, the king is already mad for Krishna. So they thought if we make an altar in our palace, he will become mad for us also. So they all demanded the king, make one altar for us. Then the king made one altar for each of the queens. In this way, all the queens became busy in that service to Krishna. So this is Ambarish Maharaj, one of the most famous Grihasthas. So whether it is King Ambarish or King Swayambhu Manu, King Yudhishthira Maharaj, you can take so many kings like this. This was the culture in India. And also, those kings gave the children in their homes opportunity to fall in love with Krishna. Prabhupada calls such families as lucky families. Prabhupada uses the word lucky families. Which are lucky families? Gaur Mohan Dey's family is a lucky family. Because Gaur Mohan Dey produced one Prabhupada who shook the whole world because of him giving such sanskar in the childhood. Similarly, Parikshit Maharaj as a small kid, he was playing with dolls also. What dolls he was playing? You see in the market the other day when I was going, I saw one shop where they had some few dolls of Krishna, Vishnu, Ram and all. But then most of the shop was occupied by cricket bats. So I asked him, hey, why the dolls are few? He said, nowadays people buy more cricket bats, they were saying. So I remember even when I was a small kid, we had many dolls in our home. Saraswati, Lakshmi, Ram, Krishna and Vishnu. So my mother taught me how to identify the difference between Krishna and Ram. Ram is green color, and Krishna is blue color. Then I asked her, but what is the difference between Vishnu and Krishna? Then she said, Krishna has a flute in the hand. Vishnu keeps his hand like this, Krishna keeps like this. That's how you find the difference. So when even Parikshit, Uddhava, they all had dolls, Krishna dolls. It is said Uddhava would be decorating his deities at home, and mother would call him for breakfast. And he would tell the mother, I am coming, but he would never go. He was so attached to decorating the deities and singing for them. Same with Jiva Goswami, who was worshipping Krishna Balaram deities when he was a small boy with great love and devotion. So in this way, one can do direct service to the Lord and develop love for Him. So three things Prabhupada says: for preaching, for personal purification, cleansing of the material contamination of the heart, and thirdly, direct opportunity for service. By doing this, one will develop great attachment. Actually, we all have a sadhana deha and siddha deha. Right now what we have is called sadhana deha. Like Goswamis, you will see, they have a sadhana deha also as Goswamis. But they have a siddha deha as Manjaris in the spiritual world. There is a true story which happened in Bangladesh where Srinivas Acharya was living. Srinivas Acharya, one day in his home, he sat and started chanting the holy names like we chant every day. He was chanting and gradually entered into a samadhi with his eyes closed. Half a day passed. He didn't get up. He didn't eat. He didn't drink anything. So the family members were worried. Then 1 day passed. Still he didn't come out of the samadhi. 1.5 days passed. Still he was sitting in the same posture. So they all became very worried. So they wanted to find out, is he dead or is he alive? So there was one disciple of Srinivasa Acharya called Ramachandra Kaviraj, one of the most intimate disciples. So they thought maybe we can call him, but the problem was he was very far away. It will take 3 weeks to go and 3 weeks to come. His place was very far away. In those days they didn't have this type of mobile, you can call him on mobile. Ramachandra Kaviraj, quickly take a flight and come. You can't tell him. You have to go 3 weeks walking, 3 weeks coming back. It will become almost 1.5 2 months. So they were wondering how to call him. When they were thinking like this, immediately he arrived, Ramachandra Kaviraj. From nowhere he arrived. And then he came and looked at the people. Why are you so astonished? What happened? So they told him, see your Guruji, he's sitting like this. So then Ramachandra Kaviraj said, I'll find out what's happening. So he sat next to Guru in the same posture. And he started chanting, murmuring the holy name, and gradually stopped chanting. And he entered into samadhi. And half a day passed, and people were worried, what is this? We call this fellow, and he has gone into samadhi now. Sometimes when we have a class, sometimes some students are missing. I used to tell one student, hey, can you call him? And this fellow will go and never come back. So we used to wonder why we sent this fellow. So generally then I used to send a boy who will go and bring everybody back. So in the same manner, they were wondering what to do now, right now. So another half a day passed also, 1 day passed. So some people started crying, they were worried. In the meantime, Ramachandra Kaviraj, in his Siddha Deha, he entered the spiritual world. In Siddha Deha, his name is Karuna Manjari. So Ramachandra Kaviraj's name is Karuna Manjari. So in his Manjari form, he saw the Kadamba Kanan, then he saw the bank of Yamuna. Searching where are the gopis. Then he saw in the Yamuna all the gopis were moving the water and searching for something. So he went there to meet the gopis. So the Manjari, some of the Manjaris who were searching for something, he went and asked them what is happening. There he found his spiritual master, Srinivasa Acharya, who was Mani Manjari. So he went to Mani Manjari and asked, you are here. All the people are in anxiety about you. So Mani Manjari said, no. We have to search out the Radharani's Nupur. Yesterday night in the Rasa dance, when she was dancing, the Nupur flew off from her feet and went into Yamuna. So we are all searching. Can you help us? He also helped. So everybody started searching again. But Ramachandra Kaviraj in Karuna Manjari form, he could find out. So he gave it to Mani Manjari. Mani Manjari was very happy. So Mani Manjari then took it and gave it to Guna Manjari. You know who is Guna Manjari? Gopal Bhatta Goswami, who is the guru of Srinivasa Acharya. And then Guna Manjari gave it to Lalita, and Lalita gave it to Srimati Radharani. Radharani became very joyful. So she took it and she wore it, and she asked, who gave you? Then she said, this Mani Manjari found out, she said. She thought Mani Manjari found out. Actually, who found out? Karuna Manjari found out actually. So then Radharani became so pleased. She took out a tambul from her mouth and gave it to Mani Manjari. So Mani Manjari accepted the tambul very gratefully and tied it in her hips. And then Radharani embraced her and thanked her. See, this goes to show the Guru Parampara even in spiritual world. Why our relationship with Guru is eternal. Karuna Manjari took it, but he gave it to Mani Manjari. Mani Manjari took it and gave it to his Guru, Gopal Bhatta Goswami, who is Guna Manjari. And then he gave it to Lalita. You will see that. In this way, in spiritual world also, ascending service and then descending mercy, as we say. So now, after this, what happened? Srinivasa Acharya suddenly chanted Hari Bol and he came to external consciousness. So all people became very happy. In next few minutes, Ramachandra Kaviraj, he shouted another Hari Bol, he also came out. So they both returned back to their sadhana deha. And all people were very happy and loud kirtan started. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare. Karta. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Ram, Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. everybody danced. But one amazing thing happened. Suddenly everybody smelled a very great fragrance spreading in the whole room. And they were all looking at each other, right? Who is carrying something? Where is this fragrance coming from? Then even Srinivasacharya was looking all around. He couldn't find out where is it coming from. Then Ramachandra Kaviraj reminded him, do you remember? Radharani gave you some tambul. You kept it in your hip. So then he took his dhoti and removed, tambul came out. So the tambul from spiritual world came to material world. Like that. So in this way, when we worship the deities and render service to the deities, gradually from sadhana deha we will go to siddha deha. Everybody will attain that stage after mature devotional service. In that mature devotional service, the material world will gradually go to the background and vanish. We will enter the spiritual world. We will see Vrindavan, we will see Yamuna, we will see Kadambakanan, we will see cows, calves, we will see Krishna, Balaram, covered boys, covered girls. The whole spiritual world will be revealed. So the Acharyas have given us the procedure. We should hear regularly from Srimad Bhagavatam and Chaitanya Charitamrita. So we should always learn the truth and present the truth, and we should also represent the truth. Presenting the truth is Tattva, representing the truth is Sadachar. So when we cultivate Siddhanta and Sadachar, both these things in the company of devotees, and also we worship the deities. See, just like in a college you have theory and you have practical. Similarly, we also have, like you are all sitting and hearing lecture now, this is theory now. And what is practical? Deity worship and chanting of the holy name. Harinam Sankirtan, book distribution, cooking prasad, cooking bhoga and offering. These are all practical. So Matajis should be given a great appreciation, especially because they do a lot of practical. In this way, by doing practical service only, we will be able to realize the theoretical knowledge. Otherwise, theory will remain theory only. It will remain bookish knowledge. So, the deity worship is a very practical activity. It purifies our senses, our mind, our intelligence, ultimately our souls, and awakens our soul to our loving relationship with Krishna eventually. So, any grihastha who is bringing deities to their home, we can understand that Krishna is very pleased with them, Gaurnita is very pleased with them. He has kindly accepted to come in their home and become malleable in their hands, accepting their madhupak they may feed and the bathing they may do and dressing they may do, and accept the bhoga they are offering. Because these deities which they are receiving for worship now, it is not ordinary, because they are actually getting it by the blessings of the Guru Parampara. They are devotees who have accepted the shelter of Brahmavada Gaudiya Sampradaya. They accepted the wisdom coming in this parampara. They accepted the practices in this parampara. And they have been leading pure lives. And after many years of practice, they are accepting this wonderful service to the deities. I will request all the devotees to bless these two couples, two families, that Arsh Prabhu and Ruchi Mataji, they have done immense services also. And Ruchi Mataji's father, mother, they also have come here. You can stand up, Prabhu, in your own place. Yeah, they are also here. They had a very ardent desire that we want to get Radha Krishna. Of course, in ISKCON, generally we have Gaur-Nitai deities we worship first, and then gradually later on we bring Radha Krishna deities. Because the Gaur-Nitai deities don't take any offenses generally. And in case we commit some mistakes and we seek forgiveness and then we serve them very nicely, they overlook the offenses very easily. But one offense Gaur-Nitai deities will take very seriously is offense to the devotees. Gaur-Nitai gets very upset with offense to devotees, so that should be avoided. And the Radha Krishna deities, to worship them, one has to be very meticulous and very attentive and very cautious. Because Radha Krishna are the Yugal, ultimate Yugal, there is no one to be achieved beyond them. They are the ultimate truth. And we have to understand Radha Krishna through Gaur-Nitai. We read Chaitanya Charitamrita and through Chaitanya Mahaprabhu we understand Radha Krishna. So I will request all of you to offer your blessings, offer your prayers for these two couples, especially Her Grace Jana Mataji and Her Grace Satyavati Mataji have personally guided them in all these procedures and everything. And also His Grace Nadia Bihari Prabhu and Champaklata Mataji and His Grace Palagovind Prabhu They all have a great contribution in the spiritual lives of these devotees. They are very wonderful devotees. They are doing plenty of services, humpty number of services. If we start speaking about the service time, we'll be losing time. So we thank these two families for their enthusiasm and inspiration and wonderful example for all the other grihasthas in Pune. One last point I'm going to quote and conclude the talk now. When Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was going to South India, he went and offered his obeisances to Sarva Bhattacharya. When Sarva Bhattacharya was shocked, he returned his obeisances and said, "You are a sannyasi. How is it that you are offering me obeisances?" And Mahaprabhu said, if anyone worships the deities of the Lord in their home with great love and devotion, and they conquer the Lord, and the Lord occupies their heart, even sannyasis can take blessings from such grihasthas, and such grihasthas become empowered to offer blessings to sannyasis, like the Mahaprabhu said. Which clearly shows a person in grihastha ashrama can transcend the material world and convert his home into spiritual world. Yedi nagrihe bhajana deki goloka bhai. Yedi nagrihe bhajana deki grihete goloka bhai. Like that Bhaktivinoda Thakur says. He says, when I return home in the evening, my 10 children are singing, dancing, worshipping the deities, feeding them bhoga, and my whole home has turned into Goloka Vrindavan, he says. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur had 10 children. Nowadays, if anybody has more than 4 children, people will look at you up and down, as if they are looking at animal in the zoo. And how are you maintaining 4 children and 5 children? Bhaktivinoda Thakur had 10 children. And he says, he never had any anxiety when he returned home. He says, my home turned into Goloka Vrindavan, he says. Why? No problem, because everybody is busy serving Krishna, there is no time to quarrel. That is how we have to be busy in our spiritual life. Srila Prabhupada ki, Bhakta Vrinda ki. Thank you very much.
Hare Krishna. We want to thank Radheshyam Prabhu. He is the president of Pune ISKCON. He has given us a lot of inspiration and care. Please thank him. Hari, say 3 times Hari Bol. Hari Bol. We also want to thank everyone who is present here for giving us